"100 Bullets, Volume 1." This one's called First Shot, Last Call. It's written by Brian Azzarello and drawn by Eduardo Risso. I'm a fan of Brian Azzarello. I haven't read a bunch of his stuff. I've read The Joker. That one I thought was okay. The book I really like from him. This might be a sleeper pick, but Dark Knight Master Race, Dark Knight 3 Master Race. I love that book so much. I think that might be the most underrated Batman book, the most underappreciated, overlooked Batman book. I love Master Race so much, and that was like co-written by Brian Azzarello. I think Frank Miller. He had like collaborative. I don't know. He was collaborating with Frank Miller, but I have a feeling that was like mostly written by Brian Azzarello. So I have a very positive reception of Brian Azzarello. I haven't read a ton of his work, but this is supposed to be his breakout. Like, this is what he's known for, 100 Bullets. So I was very excited to read it. I honestly had no idea what it was about. I just knew Brian Azzarello, 100 Bullets. That's all I knew, honestly. So I was a bit surprised by this book because I had no idea it was going to follow multiple people, multiple characters. Just like it wasn't going to be like a singular long story. I was under the impression it was going to be a singular story. So when we opened up with this lady, the first story with this lady who lost her husband and her son in a shooting, I thought she was going to be the main character for the entire series. And when the briefcase man gave her the 100 bullets and the gun, and he's like, okay, you have 100 bullets, they're untraceable, do your business, whatever. When that scene first happened, I thought what the book was going to be about was every issue she was going to use one bullet. So like every issue she was going to kill one person, one henchman, one corrupt cop, one person that had an involvement to the death of her husband and son. And then on the 100th issue she was going to kill like the people that actually killed the husband and son. That's what I thought it was going to be. But no, in the third issue of this book, she ends up killing the corrupt cops. And then her brother was involved somehow, and she kind of leaves him to dry. Kind of just leaves him around, put some coke on his head, and her story arc is over. So when the third issue is done, I'm like, oh, we're gonna continue on with the story arc, maybe. No, fourth issue comes around, and it's a completely new story arc. With honestly, I kind of liked the second story arc more, with this dude who was falsely accused of like having some illicit material on his computer, and the reason why he had that was not his fault. And the briefcase guy comes and said, hey, this is the people who did it to you, go take your revenge, get 100 bullets. And it doesn't turn out as well as the first story where the lady gets her revenge and she's, kind of some closure to that. In this story, he finds the person who did him wrong, and spoilers, she just shoots him right in the head. And it kind of ends really dark because she kind of erases him from like all existence. She has like the power to like erase people, and so never heard of again. And then he had like a son and like a stripper friend, and they end up like becoming friends or something. I don't know, some like weird like Glass moment, like M. Night Shyamalan's Glass. Spoilers for M. Night Shyamalan's Glass, where like all the main characters die, so then all the side characters become friends. I don't know. I honestly preferred that story arc more than the first one. So again, not bad, just wasn't what I was expecting, which isn't a bad thing. Just kind of threw me for a loop. And then the final story, just a few issues of this old grandma calling, trying to bring herself in because the briefcase guy came again to her and was like, these are the people that made your son retarded, so make him, do justice. And she ends up killing the guy, and she feels bad about it, which is very sweet. And they kind of dismiss her. They don't really take her too seriously because they kind of let her go. And the end of the book, at least the end of the first arc, at least the end of the first volume, is the briefcase guy. Like, it was kind of vague how it ended. But like the briefcase guy like shows one of the cops like who like killed his wife or something. So maybe in the second volume we're gonna get a resolution to that. I'm not too sure. But yeah, overall they're very fun stories. They're very interesting. I would say this is just kind of a personal negative, not even a negative, but whatever part of America that these stories are based on, the way they talk is just so overwhelmingly hard to understand. Just the I don't know if it's the dialect, I should say, or just like I don't know, just the way that Brian Azzarello writes these characters, the way they speak. It's like I'm reading a different language. I keep having to reread panels just to understand what they're saying because it's like I don't know where this is based on, but it's not based on a language I'm familiar with. That's for sure because they just talk very differently. So I don't know. Hopefully, in future stories, you can get someone from, I don't know, like a different part of America, so I can actually understand what they're saying most of the time. Also, the art, it's a very unique art. It's the same guy who did the Joker. Um, it's like the same guy who drew the Joker series that Brian Azzarello wrote. So it's kind of similar to that. It's not as like detailed or like triple A looking as the Joker book. But you can definitely see similarities. Um, I don't want to say the art style is ugly, but it's not pretty, if that makes sense. And I'm not even saying that isn't a bad thing because the art style and the colors, it definitely fits the tone, the grittiness, the griminess of this series. I definitely get it. So even calling it ugly isn't even a bad thing, but it is like I don't want to call it an eyesore because I don't even mean it in a bad way. But like these people are ugly. Like no one is drawn, like well at all. But I don't think that's the intention. Like no one is like everyone looks kind of chopped. Everyone looks kind of chopped, and I love the covers. The covers are really nice. I don't know who does the covers, but the covers are quite nice. But yeah, very interesting. I'm very intrigued. If you saw my haul video, you've seen that I've picked up the second and third volume, so I do plan on reading the series and reviewing the other books. So yeah, very interesting first volume. Again, honestly, I kind of was hoping that we would have longer story arcs with, we could focus on one character. So maybe this is just kind of a taste, like, okay, these are like three separate stories with three separate characters. We're gonna have a little taste. We're gonna have it's like a little teaser of what the Briefcase Man is capable of, and hopefully down the line we can get more longer story arcs. Because even like he gives you a briefcase with 100 bullets, and most of these people use like 5 bullets. They don't really use 100 bullets. I want to see a story where someone gets a machine gun and runs the entire all the bullets through something. Yeah, just a longer story arc. Because like just as you're getting used to these characters, like I was really starting to like that first lady, and I was really starting to get used to the characters, get used to the environment she was around, and the story's done. You move on, and it's like, damn, that kind of sucks because I was really getting invested in her entire story and her entire backstory. And it's like, for such a tragic backstory, I kind of wished we could have stuck around a bit longer and see, what other stuff she could have worked on, or just see her progression as a character. But no, you just kind of move on to the next person. And I just kind of wish, I don't know. Again, I don't know what it's the other because this is like what 3 issues. This is like what this is like. Yeah, this book collects 5 issues. So I don't know what the other 95 issues of the series is going to be. But I hope it's just not jumping around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like there's like 20 people that the Briefcase Man gives a gun to, and they all, I don't know. It'd be funny if the Briefcase Man gives like there's like two people that wronged each other, and the Briefcase Man gives both people a separate briefcase and a separate gun, and it's like, fight it out. I don't know. That'd be hilarious. I don't know, but yeah, still excited to read the series, and yeah, pretty solid series so far.